Hello everybody, welcome into Wine Country live from Sonoma Raceway with the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series on Ghost Racing Network. We've got a good one in store for you here tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Drivers have gotten qualifying complete. Let's get right down trackside and get into your starting grid. A lot of things different here tonight. First official road course of the season, and it is going to be an exciting one. All right, here we go. Looking at the starting order, last season's winner here at Sonoma, Tyler Marble. He will roll off from pole, putting down a 1:14.916. Austin Fitzgerald rolls off to his outside in second. Last week's winner, by the way, Ty Iopolito will start back in third. Michael Mueller in fourth. Quentin Clark for Riot Motorsports rounds out the top five. It's Jeff Marble in sixth. Jared Bundy back in seventh with Jake Hickson in eighth. Brian Conklin in ninth, and Brandon Saylor rounding out your top 10. Jacob Musso will start back in the 11th position for the Musso Speed Shop. Alan Pajari, one of the veterans for Dynamic Autosports, he rounds out row number 6 as he will roll off 12th. Tracy Powers back in 13th. Jeff Shutt in 14th. Cody Matthews, Thomas O'Hara make up row number 9, and it's Mark Sabak, the Canadian, and then Ryan Haynes rounding out the top 20. Kenneth Bartholomew will roll off 21st. Jeffrey Souza 22nd. Brett Spod 23rd, Danny Gutierrez 24th, Johnny McCulchuk in 25th, Andrew Russo 26th, and Glenn Grigsby rounds out the field tonight. He will start in 27th. A little bit of a smaller field than usual, but to be expected at a road course. Now, looking at what to expect here tonight for Sonoma, it is the Sonoma 109. Going to be 55 laps to distance here tonight, 100% fuel, still 4 sets of tires. No fast pair open setups, 3 green-white checkers, but we're not going to be using those because we do not have any cautions here tonight. And so keep that in mind. This restart's going to be crucial. Do not make a mistake because you're not going to get a caution. Got to keep the car clean here off the start. 71 degrees outside, 48% humidity, clear skies, winds at 11 miles per hour, and track temp starting at 116 degrees for the start of this race. You might notice something a little bit different. What we're doing here tonight that we don't normally do is we're going to be turning left and right. That's right, Sonoma again, first road course of the season, I believe. I don't want to quote me on this. There's, well, obviously over 10 turns. Not sure if somewhere between 11 and 14. We'll go through them as we go. But speaking of go, here we go. So we're going to work our way into the restart zone for the first and only time here tonight. Green flag in the air. We're underway at Sonoma. Good restart right out of the gate for Tyler Marble. He's going to quickly poke to the lead here over Austin Fitzgerald. Watch out back. Got to keep things clean here early. We talked about it again. There's no caution, so if you make a mistake, you have an off like the first one we're going to have right there. Trying to figure out who that is. I think it's Brian Conklin. Yes, it is. The 37, the first car off here tonight. He's going to get it back on the track. They worked their way down to the corner before the carousel, and that is one of the first passing zones, if you will, that we'll see here tonight. Actually, nope, take that back. The carousel is no more here, it looks like. So with that, they worked their way into the S's for the first time here tonight. Tyler Marble already has that lead out to multiple car lengths. In fact, scoring tower has him up just about a second already over the rest of the field here, just in the course of about a half to 3/4 of a lap. Working down here to final turn, the heavy braking zone, and I believe this is indeed turn 11. And this is where you're going to get all the way down to first gear as a driver. And this is another big passing zone here. Who can outbrake who? As actually I said first, but looks like Tyler Marble and most of the field going to be keeping it in second. At least Fitzgerald, I saw him get down to first briefly. Just like that, lap 1 in the books here at Sonoma. By the way, track length, we didn't talk about it, so we'll show you again here just briefly. Sonoma is 1.96 miles. And so again, not the longest track on the circuit by any means, but certainly one of the few road courses that we will see. Watkins Glen being another. Looking forward to that one. But this is a big race for a lot of people. Some guys just trying to survive it. Some guys looking to prosper in it. And so we'll be looking at battles all across the track here overnight. But I think out of the gate, the storyline is going to be Tyler Marble, and that may be the case the whole race. He came in confident this week, felt like this is his track to win at. Came oh so close last week at Gateway, but that was kind of the turnaround race. He needed that. It had been a rough couple of weeks, and I think now that he's got that one out of the way, again, he won here last year. He was on rails the whole race. I think you're going to see more of the same here this year from Tyler Marble. Here's a look at Jeff Shutt and a 27 machine for No Excuses Racing. By the way, Jeff Shutt is one of our driver cams here tonight. We'll go through those as I'm sure we'll have a couple of fun rides here, but Austin Fitzgerald still staying in second right now, holding steady as Michael Mueller Tries to set up the rookie, Ty Iopolito. That's two rookies actually going at it. And then there's Quentin Clark, teammate, another one of the Riot Motorsports boys. And Jeff Marble back in 5th. And you know that him and Tyler are probably running a similar setup, but I'm not sure if Jeff's a big road course fan, but yeah, you can come into a place like this, leave at the top 5. You got to feel like you did something right. Now, I mentioned no cautions, and last year we did have a couple interesting setups with the way the rules worked and how cautions worked, but this year they threw those all in the trash and said, we're just not going to do cautions because it causes too many issues. And so I think the way it used to be was if there was a certain amount of incidents, or once a certain incident limit was reached, then the caution would fly. But again, we're not going to have that this year. It will be just strictly green flag racing all the way through. That means we're going to see at least one green flag stop, and I don't think we're quite going to see 2. Johnny Mikulchuk, as always, courtesy, gives us the general strategy play to expect and says that it can go about 37 laps. So again, you can make this thing on a one stop. The question, I guess, would be, what do you try to do in terms of, do you short pit it? Do you go a little bit longer? Do you cut it down the middle? I think it depends on where you're running, to be honest. And right now, I think if you're Tyler Marble, you're running this thing until it's empty, especially with the pace he's putting down. I mean, look at this. Already almost 2 seconds ahead of the closest running competitor, and that is Austin Fitzgerald for Dynamic Autosports. Let's hop on board here with Tyler. Well, actually, I'll take that back. We'll hop on board with him next lap so we can get a full rundown here of Sonoma. There you see everybody climbing the hill. A lot of elevation change here as well. And that makes these cars very, very tough to get through the corners, especially when you're transitioning. So I would say it's a little bit trickier probably when you're going downhill or when you're hitting something, a turn that you're just going downhill. Right here, this turn here, that's a tricky one. Because again, you're just hitting kind of that transition from uphill to downhill. And so the car gets really light. The back tires, it's a lot easier to get them spinning. Whereas when you're headed uphill in one of the corners, you get a little bit more downforce. It's a little bit easier to make it through. The S is a very technical section, but one of the fastest sections of the course. As Tyler Marble's wide open before he quickly gets off the gas here through turn 10. Nice exit onto the rumble strips. Don't want to get too wide there. If you get into the dirt, it's going to be a tricky save. Could find yourself in the tire barriers. And then turn 11. Nice and smooth. In real life, they got rid of those tire barriers, but they still have them here in iRacing for now. So people still utilizing them to their advantage. All right, here we go. As he crosses the start-finish line, we'll hop on board and show you the virtual cam along with the real-life cam as Tyler Marble works his way up the first rhythm section. Turn 1, 2, and 3 right there. I'm just going to work over here to turn number 4. And again, this is an uphill turn, so it's not too tricky, but right here, this is a tough one. Got to be really smooth with getting back on the throttle, and there you see it. That car is trying to jump out sideways on him. Get down here into turn number 6. So we'll work our way now to turn number 7. Passing opportunity here is doable, but then as soon as you get through this, it's a rhythm section. You're not going to be able to go 2x2 here pretty much at any point here tonight. So there's, I believe this is going to be turn 8. And then the S's. Again, I may have these turns a little bit mislabeled, so I apologize. But in general, after you finish the rhythm section, you got one more corner here before you set up for the biggest braking corner on the entire circuit. And that is what I believe is turn number 11. Point is, it's the final one, and you see Tyler Marble's trying to get as close as he can to those tires. Taking the shortest way around, getting a little bit more grip by being way down there. And man, I'll tell you what, for a guy who's got this big of a lead, he still looks like he's on edge with that car. I mean, you saw him jumping around with the steering wheel, doing everything to keep those back tires under him. But again, since it is a road course and fuel's kind of important here in the sense of, I wouldn't be shocked to see these guys run their fastest laps at the end of a run. And so that makes you think that, again, if you got the lead, definitely stay out. But maybe if you're trying some strategy, I just don't know. It's such a tough call because you know that there's no cautions. So that already takes out the gamble and maybe some of the strategy play that we could have saw here tonight. And so as we start to look back a little bit through the field, some of the battles we got going on. Here we go, Jake Hickson versus Jared Bundy. These two have been going on here for a couple laps now. As I think Hickson might be a little better here through the corner, but Jared Bundy shot out like a cannon there on exit. And you can see he's just gapping him here through the S's. Ooh, Bundy slipped up though. That's a bad corner. Hickson! Oh, Hickson getting a little feisty there as he got into the back of Jared Bundy right there. Gotta be careful. You don't want to make enemies this early on as Bundy is Going to fade to the outside. Jake Hickson will slide around. Let's see if Bundy feels like he wants to give him a little love back here. And no, he won't. Jared Bundy right now feeling like the car just not quite doing exactly what he would like to see it do. So he's going to be okay with just losing that spot for the moment. There is Jared Bundy. Almost two-time winner of the season, but he does still have that one win in the book. So he'll be looking to make a playoff run here at the end of the season, end of the regular season rather. But boy, it came really, really close just a few weeks back. Didn't quite work out though. So he's looking for some redemption here tonight. Jacob Musso following Jake Hickson around Jared Bundy. Seeing if he can set himself up for a pass. And then further back, good looking paint scheme tonight for Tracy Powers. I like that. We're at a road course and he's got the caution car. Says keep away. He knows what it's about. And I'll tell you what, Tracy, I would be running the same exact scheme as these cars. You know, I know that people have different opinions on them, and I will say I think the next gens are maybe a little better than any of the previous generations of cars at a road course, but I'm just not a fan of stock cars on road courses. You know, I've ran plenty of sports car races, and I just think anything from the GT3s, the prototypes, when you run those on a road course and then you try to run a stock car, the difference is night and day. You've got one that's a ton of downforce, ton of grip, high speed through every corner, feels secure, and then drive the stock car on a track like Sonoma and you feel like you're driving a tank around the track at about 100, 150 miles an hour depending on where you're at. So it's definitely, it's an art, it's a trait guys have had to learn over the years, but it certainly seems like Tyler Marble is still the top road course ringer in the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup series. There's Alan Pajari, he's got the big gut. Looks like Richard Petty colors though. And Jeff Shutt runs just behind him. By the way, Jeff Shutt is another one of our driver cams here tonight, as he sits in that 12th spot, already up 2 positions from where he started this race at. And I will say overall, everybody just about has done a terrific job of getting off to a clean start. Now we have had some incidents. Some of these incidents we may have missed, but this point being, overall everybody's done a pretty good job, as Ryan Haynes might have had some trouble, as I think he clipped the grass or something, but it looks like he's been able to recover. So before we go any further into driver cams, let's bring you back through some of these issues that we've had that's been kind of sporadic throughout the field since the start of this race. And things all got started on lap 1 here with Brian Conklin. So he's on the outside, just gets loose, loops it around, and oh man, he clipped Brandon Saylor. That's his rookie teammate. And he is really, really lucky that that did not collect or damage his car to the point of where he couldn't continue or potentially take out his teammate. And then this was Jacob Musso as part of that, as looks like he misses Brian Conklin and then just gets in the grass there. No harm, no foul. Brian Conklin makes his return on the track, but then Andrew Russo here had some trouble of his own as well. Let's see what happens here to the 88. Again, this was in the early laps of this race, getting to turn number 11, and just misses the braking zone big time. Gets really, really wide, and it allows Danny Gutierrez to slip by. And then a couple other incidents since then here. Jacob Musso, does he make a little detour on the grass here? Looks like he does, getting a little wide, just a little too wide there. He goes for a little dirt tracking, but is able to recover and get it back on the road. And then Brett Spott here with another troubling start to a race. It has been a rough middle portion of the season here for Brett Spott, but this wasn't a major issue, I don't think. Keep your fingers crossed. I spoke too soon. 35 loops it around. Good news is, of course, that he didn't hit anything. Bad news is, again, there's no cautions here tonight, so those positions he lost, certainly going to be hard to regain those back. Then last was Jacob Musso again here, same corner, just getting a little wide. He's been pushing it here, and it's been working out for him. He continues to work his way through the field. In fact, he's up 3 spots from where he started, but you got to wonder if he maybe could have had a couple more, if he could minimize those mistakes a little bit. Tough thing to do, though, here at Sonoma. Johnny McCallchuck carrying 2 onboard cameras for us here tonight, as he normally does, and one of them tonight a little bit more important than it usually is, and that is the pedal cam. This thing is getting a lot of work, so we're going to take away the cockpit cam and show you the pedal cam here. Watch his feet. Watch all the shifting he's got to do here. Now, again, some of these guys, I believe, I don't think you have to use the clutch here with it being a sequential. And yeah, so yeah, you don't when you're going through the downshifts and the upshifts, but still a lot of footwork between the gas and the brake, and it's not just slamming the throttle down, slamming on the brakes. A lot of guys refer to it as trail braking to get into the corners a little bit better. And of course, you don't want to start turning the car while you're braking. Going to wear tires, and more importantly, that's how you get the brakes locked up. And that's how you get yourself in a bad position. So, Johnny McCulloch, good looking footwork here so far at Sonoma. So we've completed 10 of 55 laps in this race. Austin Fitzgerald for Dynamic Autosports quickly filed into second at the start of this race, and looks like he has been sitting there since. Kind of an island between him and Tyler Marble and him and Ty Iopolito, as he's got about a 4-second lead on his rookie teammate, but then is just about 4 seconds back from the current leader, and that is Tyler Marble. A couple more driver cams to take a peek at here tonight. Ryan Haynes, one of them, as he has not gained or lost any from the start of this race, just sitting about even as Bill Benedict. He goes for a ride in the grass before they come to the last turn on the circuit, as Jeffrey Souza is going to make a move on him right there. And there's Ryan Haynes. Look at this. I like this view a lot. I think he set this up purposely for Sonoma. Look at the amount of shifting you got to do here. And he is using sequential, depending on what wheel setups and rig setups these guys have. Some of them, and in case like what I would use, I've just got a G29, so I've got to use the paddles. But in Ryan's case, he's got a full shifter there, so he's able to do H pattern or sequential. And that's what he's using here tonight. And remember, downshift with the sequential is forward, and upshift is back. So you see he's going to hit the downshift before he accelerates, pulls it back, and then he'll push it forward here again, once, twice. In fact, I want to hop on board here again with Ryan Haynes. He completes his lap here, but working through the S's. Let's go back. I want to pull up the dashboard again and watch. Oh, looks like we've had Alan Pajari here with trouble. Caught my attention as through turn 11, I think he got it sorted out. Bill Benedict, we saw hop off the road there a little bit, but I think Pajari gets wide. Oh, big time. I mean, he had locked up the brakes. That's how he knew how wide he was getting here. Yeah, see that? Car dives in, front tires just don't catch. Too much speed, and when they don't catch, the rears aren't going to catch either there. That thing just slides, but doesn't look like he hurts himself too much. Now back to the onboard view here. I want to go back to Ryan Haynes and watch the shifts here. Third, as they go through the first uphill portion, he actually gets down to second here. And so I want to go compare this to your leader, because I think Tyler Marble might be running things a little different. Biggest thing he's doing different than a lot of these guys is he's running second gear through that final corner. Whereas a lot of guys are getting down to first. Gives you better acceleration, but in the long run, you might be able to burn those rear tires up a little bit less by being in second. Oh my goodness. Wow, that's a huge moment for Tyler Marble. Oh my goodness. There was a spin out right in front of him, and oh my goodness, he almost just saw his race flash before his eyes. And boy, it really seems like it's been that kind of a season, and man, I cannot believe how close that was for your race leader. That was Brett Spott again with more trouble, and that time it was trouble in a pretty vulnerable spot. Here we go. Let's watch what happens here to the 35 as he works his way through the uphill here. I think he's just going to get loose. Yeah, that's a little bit of an odd spot to get loose at too, but then you see he kind of lets the car roll and then stays in the gas, and the problem is he ends up doing a burnout pretty much right in front of your leader, but he's able to get out of the way just in time. But man, I know that made Tyler Marble's heart skip a beat, because again, that's a blind corner. So in Tyler Marble's case, he couldn't see that until he had pretty much arrived on scene. Here we go. I'll give you the cockpit view of this again, and I want you to focus out the windshield here and versus when he could see it. And so at this point, Brett Spott has just now spun around as he just now got up the uphill. There he goes. You couldn't quite see him on the top left. He just spun, and now Tyler comes uphill, sees smoke, and all of a sudden here he is. And you can see Tyler Marble was getting ready to just shoot through the grass to miss it. He was not willing to let his race end right there. As now we go back live, and that's Brett Spott as he is easing into the pits. And fortunate circumstances here for the 35. You hope he's just going in to either get some repairs, get some tires, some fuel, and it's not the end of his race here. But that slow creep in the pit box, certainly got to wonder. Looks like he's going to prop it up here. Might take 4 tires. Brandon Saylor, the rookie for Team Marble iRacing here with some trouble, as he's going to go for a loop into the grass. He's able to keep it out of the tire barrier though. And then this was Jeffrey Souza as well, just a couple laps ago. And where does Souza have the trouble? Does he just miss the final turn here a little bit? That's exactly what he does. Just gets in a little hot. No harm, no foul. again, it's still asphalt right there, so you don't have to necessarily worry about, you know, getting into the tires as easily or, you know, going for a loop, spin, whatever the case is. Just a little bit of a longer way around the turn. All right, so as we go back live, Tyler Marble, that gap did shrink down a bit, but that was, again, because of that close call between him and Brett Spod. So that explains that. Andrew Russo, so he had an off track as he gets it back on, and we're having guys going off left and right now after a relatively clean start. So I'm not sure what the deal is here, if handling's going away or if everybody's just trying to push the envelope a little more now and it's not working. But he doesn't quite loop it around. Goes for a, well, it's a full loop. As see, he works his way right there, just behind or just in front of Austin Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald will go by here into the next braking zone and gets through before they get to the rhythm section. So no pit stops just yet. Again, we're about a handful of laps short of being, I would say actually just a couple of laps short of being halfway to that first, to the end of the first fuel window. So again, these guys can go all the way to 37, and I mean, I got to think if you're Tyler Marble, that's the strategy you go with, right? I mean, unless I'm missing something here, but I'm trying to think in terms of, you know, there's no cautions, and in general, at least from what we saw in the real life cup race, if there's not going to be a caution, the best strategy is to stay out later. You can run faster, and he's already the fastest guy on the racetrack, so I think he'll continue to stay out here, as we've already seen a couple cars fall a lap down or retire from this race. Looks like it starts with Danny Gutierrez. Brett Spod has also retired. Andrew Russo, the last car on track, as he is 2 laps down. Glenn Grigsby a lap down, and so that puts Kenneth Bartholomew currently the last car on the lead lap. Well, he may actually have just won a lap down. Can't quite tell the score. Oh yeah, actually not yet, but he's going to be close to here, probably about a second or so from going a lap down. Kenneth Bartholomew, that is. As, yep, there you see Tyler Marble creeping into frame. The same frame, I should say, with that 73 just ahead up there. And I think by the end of this race, you know, fingers crossed he doesn't have any unexpected trouble, but I wouldn't be shocked if he laps at least half the field here. I mean, I'm looking, and 10th on back is already 40 seconds behind your leader. So he's only got about another 30, 35 seconds before he'll be putting them a lap down, and we're not even halfway through this race yet. So again, Tyler Marble is on rails so far here tonight, picking up right where he left off from last season, as Austin Fitzgerald continues to try to find something here to close the gap. And I certainly wouldn't count out this 74 just yet, but I think he's going to have to find something in the strategy department here on pit road to have a chance, at least with the gap that Tyler Marble has created between the two. Mark Sabak, the Canadian driver, had a brief off, but he's quickly back on the track. Thomas O'Hara back in 18th. Johnny Mikulchuk in 19th. By the way, your biggest mover right now is indeed Johnny Mikulchuk. He is up 6 positions from where he started this race at. And then your biggest mover inside the top 10 right now is Jeff Shutt, as he is up 4 spots from where he started this race at. Going to be looking for a little bit more here, but he's going to have to look about 6 seconds up, as that's where the nearest, or the next man that he's got to get by is, and that's Jared Bundy. And I know we touched on him earlier, but I'm just still so impressed with the season that Jared Bundy has put together. I mean, I had a chance to watch him quite a bit last season, and it wasn't quite there. The consistency was good, and you started to see those glimpses of the speed and the potential there peak at different points in the season with the qualifying efforts. He'd come and put down a pole here, a couple weeks later put down a pole somewhere else. And so you knew that the speed was there for the 3. It was just more a question of, could he find a way to get that speed to be a little bit more consistent and get some more of those top 3, top 5 runs, and maybe sprinkle in a win or 2 in there. And so far, he's answered the call this season. Again, he got a win at Texas on strategy and was going to get another one just a couple weeks later. Things didn't quite work out. But here he is tonight on a road course. Who would have guessed? And so far, he is performing the top level here, running inside the top 10 and 9th, down 2 from where he started. But again, not a bad position to be in here with 18 laps complete at the road course. All right, as Tyler Marble continues to lead here in wine country, we're going to take our first break of the night, but we will go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us at Sonoma. Welcome back to Sonoma Raceway, the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series for the Sonoma 109. First road course of the season, and so far, it's not disappointed. The other thing, though, I'm really starting to notice now is Austin Fitzgerald, while we were over break, he's closed this gap up a little bit here. Now, I know Tyler Marble ran into some lap traffic, but so did Fitzgerald. And, I mean, this gap, it's closed up a little bit. Now, granted, I don't know if Tyler maybe just had a bit of a rough lap or two. So, you know, you don't want to get your hopes up too much yet, I guess I should say, if you're an Austin Fitzgerald fan. But certainly something to keep an eye on here is that gap between first and second only, everywhere else, it just continues to become just marginally bigger and bigger each and every lap. But between that first and second position, they've not gapped it out too much just yet. Still hanging around 2.5 seconds. I mean, Fitzgerald can still see him. And both of these guys running basically mistake-free. It's just a matter of who's pushing the car a little bit more. And I mean, you can tell from the two onboard views, Fitzgerald's maybe a little bit smoother, but Tyler Marble is the one that's really wheeling this car around. And while he does look a little bit more on edge, it's also what's got him faster around this racetrack right now and is ultimately allowing him to continue to pull away. Looks like the gap's starting to equal out, maybe even slowly extend again. And so that'll quiet the conversations on that for now. Quentin Clark coming up on Kenneth Bartholomew. That is not for position, although Jeff Marble would be, who is up 2 spots from where he started, qualified 6th, currently runs just outside the podium in 4th, and he is 23.5 seconds behind your race leader. Did have a couple more issues while we were over break, so let's go back and look at some of these here. This was all single car incidents. Brian Conklin, seen that with a couple drivers tonight, just getting in a little too hot and getting off track, but able to save it without any issues going into any walls. So no harm, no foul. And then Glenn Grigsby in the uphill section just getting a little bit wide. I'll tell you what, the corner before turn 11 and that corner right there have been the two, I think, most offs that we've had, the two corners that have had the most offs here tonight. And for good reason. Both very tricky high-speed corners. But the difference is, one, of course, you're going uphill, and then one's just a really fast corner. Here's Michael Mueller with... Oh, no, that's not good for the 99. Yikes. Well, I said they're all single car incidents. I was unfortunately mistaken. That is a really tough break for Michael Mueller, who I don't know if I don't think he lost his position. If he did, he only lost a spot here. But Kenneth Bartholomew rejoining the racetrack after spinning off, and you can't, you know, I know he's a rookie, so he'll learn, but that's just one of those things there where even when you go off, you still got to be kind of paying attention when you come back on here. And I just don't think he was maybe thinking, well, it's just one of those things where, again, when you're coming back on, you got to be really careful. Now, to be fair, I don't think he was obviously trying to go that far down by any means. He just gets a little bit loose here as he gets in the marbles, but you see after he gets off, a little bit of tire spin in the grass. But Michael Mueller is not going to want to hear that. He's not going to be happy, and I mean, that just took him from what could have been, you know, guaranteed top 5 to now top 6. And oh, just as we go back to him, or actually, sorry, this was still the replay view. And then watch this from Michael Mueller's view. As you can see, he comes up on this and he's thinking, okay, Bartholomew's going to stay off, and then he just doesn't. Lucky, very lucky that didn't break a left rear toe link, as that could have ultimately ended the night for the 99. And then going back to this incident here that just happened recently with Andrew Russo, the 88 here, looks like the struggles are kind of continuing a bit. Tell you what, Russo, I give him credit for being out here. He is certainly limping this thing around here. I think that's just him making sure he gets plenty out of the way here for everybody to get by. Looks like that's exactly it. And then Austin Fitzgerald had this incident just a moment ago. And again, one of the corners we've seen a lot of guys struggle with. Just gets a little too hot and gets into the dirt. He's got a wheel and deal out of it, but that's going to cost him a ton of time. And last but certainly not least was Tracy Powers. This is coming through the S's, and he's just going to get too hot. Decides to bail out of it. Wow, that was a bumpy ride, as he almost has to take that straight shoot there to keep from hitting anybody. A nice save by Tracy Powers. Meanwhile, up front, that mistake from Fitzgerald cost him about 3 seconds, as he now falls back to just about 6 seconds behind race leader Tyler Marble. 24 of 55 laps complete, so we are approaching that halfway mark here in just a few laps or so. And so now is when I think we start to see that window open for guys thinking about pitting. Although, like I said, I think if I'm a driver out there, at least, I'm not pitting until we get to the end of the fuel window here, because there's no caution, so you know you're going to run your fastest laps on an empty tank. Might as well run it out and then top off from there. Now, tires are an interesting question as well. You know, do you take tires? Do you not? Based off how much fuel you're going to have to take, I think you still take 4. You know, if you're in a position like Tyler Marble, you can obviously afford to take 4 whether you are waiting on tires or not. But for some of the other guys that are maybe in a little bit closer battles, that's where it gets a little bit interesting. It's the closest battle we have right now is between Jeff Marble and Quentin Clark. It's a battle for 4th. Jeff Marble working through the gears. Quentin Clark following as close as he can here. And it's interesting to hear guys have to coast up that corner as much as they do. I thought they'd be able to hold a little bit more throttle time there than they are, but Jake Hickson trying to track down Michael Mueller. That's a rookie-on-rookie battle between 2 different teams, Dynamic Autosports and Riot Motorsports. Jake Hickson, 2-time winner this season. Michael Mueller, a winner himself this season as well. Jacob Musso back in 8th, up 3 positions now from where he started, as Jared Bundy still runs that 9th spot. And then you've got Jeff Shutt still rounding out your top 10. Scott Glasso looking for a setup here as he works his way through the uphill section. Brian Conklin has had a decent recovery after that first lap spin. Still down 3 positions from where he started, but he is up to 12th overall. As again, good to see everybody tuning in here tonight. Hope you're having a good Monday evening. Cody Martin in the pre-race, getting everybody amped up. Good to see you in here. And then Roger Rios Matias says, let's go Q. Says went 38 of 39 laps in NIS. Yeah, there you go. That's right about the window. And you know, that's true. I think when you count in maybe how much fuel certain guys are saving over others, because obviously you're not full throttle around this whole track, that would be about right. Just depending, I guess, on maybe how aggressive you're running here. But if you're Tyler Marble, you're not worried about fuel, you're not worried about tires, and the only time that we'll say it this season is on a road course. You're not worried about cautions. All he needs right now is to not lose to himself. He's got everybody else beat, at least from everything we're seeing so far. And I think with that mistake from Fitzgerald, as long as Tyler doesn't somehow have any major slip-up, this race is in the bag. I mean, again, he's got to avoid any potential other chaos. But, I got to count in the other factor that we still are waiting on, and that is that pit stop. Now, again, it's really easy as a driver. You're trained to try to get in and out of pit road as quick as you can, but it's races like this where you got to be disciplined enough to realize, listen, you've got, say in this case, obviously a 6.5 second lead here. There is absolutely no reason that you should be pushing it even close to the pit speed limit getting into the pits. You need to get in there, 5-10 miles an hour under. And I know I exaggerate, but the point is you cannot allow yourself to accidentally speed here in the pits if you're Tyler Marble. You've got the race in the bag here, as long as you can execute that stop and avoid anybody else's mess the rest of the way. Jake Hickson, just talking about him a minute ago, he's had some trouble here as he gets into the grass and then gets into the grass a little bit more there. That's coming through the S's. And, fair enough in the sense of we talk about the S's being a rhythm section. Well, if you get off rhythm in one portion of the S's, it's going to be pretty easy to fall off rhythm in another spot. So get it straightened back out. He's good to go. Brian Conklin, the 37 alloy wheel repair specialist Chevy Camaro, sits back in that 12th spot still. Corey Jones says this track is a must-get for myself. You got that right, Corey. Again, I'll tell you what, I may not be the biggest fan of this track in a stock car. Not to say that I hate it, but I've ran this track in sports cars and plenty of the other series, and I absolutely IndyCar. And this track, just in general, it is a very, very cool track, regardless of what series you're running it in. And a lot of cool different layouts that you can get with it too, including the one with the carousel, which NASCAR tried running a couple times, used to run. Now back here to one of the more well-known layouts, if you will. So Tyler Marble continues to lead here. See him work his way over that rumble strip now. There is track limits, by the way, and of course you're going to have a limit counter. And it's different in every corner, but the idea in those corners that sweep out really wide here in iRacing is that as long as you have at least those right side tires still on some part of that rumble strip, then it's not an off track. But as soon as you get those right sides off, that's when it can count it as an off track. And so think that there's only about 1 or 2 corners here where that maybe applies. Show you that here. Next lap for Tyler Marble, but look how heavy on the brakes he is getting into the final turn. And then, I mean, he is so close to those tires, and the only thing you get worried about is if he's maybe, you know, a couple inches more to the right on accident on one of those entries and he hits those tires, those aren't moving. I mean, that is going to be major damage. As you see, he is still slipping and sliding this thing here uphill. And so where we saw a lot of guys coasting through, Tyler Marble sure isn't. He's still heavy on the gas, trying to run as fast as he can with 29 laps complete. And look at the track temp there on the right of your screen, 119 degrees. So it's pretty warm here, and that certainly has affected the handling of these race cars a little bit, as it's about 1:14 sim time right now. Actually, I say 1:14 sim time, but figure since this is in California, I'm not sure how they have it set up. Might only be about 10 a.m. sim time. No, I think it's still 1. Point being that track, it's pretty hot, it's pretty slick, even with the cooler air temp. So it's part of the reason you see Tyler Marble moving around as much as he is, and he just continues to stretch the gap on Austin Fitzgerald, who sits almost 9 seconds behind. And look on your scoring tower on the left. Look at the amount of drivers that we have put a lap down already. Only the top 12 are still on the lead lap, and I mean, I can see all the way top 10 on back still that are about a minute back. That means Tyler Marble is going to be getting pretty close to lapping them here, maybe even before he makes it to that pit stop. And so I think he may get all the way up to, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets all the way up to Taio Polito, maybe even Jacob Musso here, of guys that he'll put a lap down before this race is all said and done, depending on how, of course, his pit stop goes versus everybody else's. But it's certainly been dominant night so far from driver number 48. Jeff Marble still hanging around. Actually, Jeff Marble's moved up a spot as he is shuffled into 3rd. We got some smoke here, trouble. I think that was maybe Andrew Russo, maybe had a lockup. As Brandon Saylor, looks like he had another issue here of his own. This is coming downhill to one of the bigger braking zones, and as he gets in the corner, oh my goodness. Boy, he needs points for airtime on that one. Well, I'll tell you what, the curbs here, the rumble strips, they're meant to be hit. These cars can take it, but you don't want to hit them too hard. And Jake Hickson here, again, watch how much airtime he gets when he hits this curb. He just turns it a little bit too deep. Oh my, I mean, that thing almost gets over. And then he hits the second rumble strip, and this thing's just bouncing around on him here. And there's just no way you're going to be able to save a car at that point. Watch this here again from TV1. As he turns in, boom. Oh my goodness, that's a huge hit to the rumble strip. Man, oh man, so that was the trouble for Brandon Saylor there, as I think this was him just getting looped back around. Sure enough it was. Then Michael Mueller, the troubles seem to be continuing here a little bit for the 99. Does he just shoot wide? Yes, he does. Gets in the dirt, but that one wasn't too bad. He's able to get back on track pretty quick. And then Kenneth Bartholomew here, this is just now. 73, just getting a little wide again. He's had trouble with that part of the racetrack quite a bit here tonight. And, you know, I will say for guys like Michael Mueller, Kenneth Bartholomew here, when you go off and you get back on track, sure, no harm, no foul. But the problem is, again, everybody has an incident limit. And every time you get one of those little, you know, 1X's for off track, 2X for slight contact with something, those can add up in a hurry here. And if you have to do a drive-through penalty in a race where you're guaranteed to not have any cautions, it's going to be a rough go here. Speaking of rough goes, Tyler Marble here, he's got to be careful getting around Bartholomew. Wow, that was a really close call. I think Kenneth wasn't maybe quite expecting Tyler to shoot by where he did, and Tyler Marble, he's just in that rhythm right now. He ain't waiting on anybody. He continues to stretch out the lead now to 10 seconds. As, Glenn Grigsby slow on the track. What happened here? 64, I think he was maybe just letting a couple guys by. For SWM Motorsports, Danny Gutierrez, Brett Spod, still, by the way, the only two who have retired from the race. Andrew Russo has fallen 4 laps down. Glenn Grigsby back in that 24th spot. Kenneth Bartholomew in 23rd. Ryan Haynes in 22nd. Bill Benedict 21st. Jeffrey Souza in 20th. You've got Johnny McCulchuk in 19th, up 6 spots from where he started. Alan Pajari up in 18th. Cody Matthews, good run for him here tonight. Top 20 going. Maybe a chance to break into the top 15 here, as he is up, or he's not up or down any spots from where he started, but looks like he's kept the car clean so far. That's what you got to do to make it to the end of these road courses. Mark Zabak in 16th, Thomas O'Hara in 15th. Brandon Saylor in 14th with Tracy Powers in 13th. Brian Conklin 12th, Scott Glasso in 11th, Jeff Shutt in 10th. Jared Bundy in 9th, Ty Ippolito in 8th, Jacob Musso 7th, Jake Hicks in 6th, Michael Mueller in 5th, Quentin Clark in 4th, Jeff Marble in 3rd, Austin Fitzgerald in 2nd, and Tyler Marble continues to lead here at Sonoma. All right, going to take another break. We will go side by side again so you don't miss a thing. Pit stops when we come back at Sonoma. Welcome back to Sonoma Raceway, FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series here on Ghost Racing Network. Just a few laps away here from the end of that fuel window, and when I think we're going to see, looks like the entire field just about running on the same strategy, and they will make their pit stops at that point. And so as it stands right now, Tyler Marble, of course, still your leader, 12 seconds ahead. Look like we maybe have a three-way battle starting to form up here between Jared Bundy, Jeff Shutt, and Scott Glasso. As Jeff Shutt's been slowly closing the door here on Bundy, Jeff Shutt's been closing the door on Bundy, and Scott Glasso's been closing the door on Jeff Shutt. And so, oh, well, here we go. Going to see some pit stops right here. I think we got a lot of people. They're going to be making their stops either this next lap, this lap here, or potentially the one after. So looks like Jared Bundy, Jeff Shutt, Scott Glasso, all three that were battling are going to go in at the same time here. Have to see who else decides to go in. Actually, I don't see anybody else yet. Seems like it may have just been those three. So looking at the pit lane 2 cam, and then we go to the pit lane 1. Yeah, I only see those 3 cars in the pits for the moment. So Tyler Marble, when does he come in? I think it's, again, probably going to be either this lap, or no, not this lap, either next lap or the lap after. But again, he's just going to run this thing till it's dry. So if he's got even a little bit more fuel than that, then he's going to go as far as he feels like he can go. But the 48 in very, very good position here with just 20 laps to go. Going to be 19 when we cross the line. And I got to think Fitzgerald's going to be, of course, kind of in the same strategy boat. As Tracy Powers looks like he's making his pit stop here for the night right now. I wish we had a paint scheme contest tonight. That's got my vote all day of the week. I still love that scheme. It says make go sideways without warning. Tracy Powers works his way back out onto the racetracks. Got him some fresh Goodyears. Well, actually, I say he's got fresh Goodyears. I don't know that he does necessarily here. Let's see. On the pit stop here, did Tracy Powers take tires? This was what my question was. And we'll look to see what those other three did. It really kind of, I think, depended on how much fuel you had to take. And at 25, he did not take tires, it doesn't look like. Let's see what Jared Bundy and his group did when they came into the pits here. Did they take tires as well? Or did they not take tires as well here? Let's see. Back it up a little bit further here to make sure we didn't miss them actually coming into the box. So as Jared Bundy creeps in right there. Jeff Shutt. Okay, so Scott Glasso did take tires, but you can see that Jeff Shutt there and Jared Bundy did not. And it looks like they would have only really had time for 2 tires anyway, which I think is what Scott Glasso may have done. Couldn't tell if he took 2 or 4. But it seems like most of the field so far, this pit feels like tires are not worth enough to take them during their pit stop. And then we did have some issues while we were on break with a couple of different drivers. And of course, I feel bad now because some of these guys were guys that I said didn't have any issues here tonight, and was propping them up for how good they had been doing. But here we go. Cody Matthews, one of them who had kept it clean just about all night, finally loops it around, and oh, that's a hard hit. Lieutenant Matthews, that ripped the front end off. So all of a sudden, that might be. He's gonna have to go get that fixed. I would presume, at least. I mean, the front clip did go back on, but that was really some pretty heavy contact there for Cody Matthews. This was Andrew Russo and Jared Bundy alongside, and 88's just going to go for a slide there. He's able to hold on, saves it. Ty Iopolito, the rookie for Dynamic Auto Sports. He's had a decent run here tonight. Does he just get too much curb here? Nope. Gets a little wide, and then, oh, ouch. That's 3 big hits there for Ty Iopolito, as he just couldn't get away from that wall quick enough. Again, that's one of the areas that guys like to run a little bit wide. The trade-off, though, is you got to make sure that you get back within track limits before that wall. And oh, it's when he saves it. Oh, man, and it's that tire barrier that's poking out, too. If that tire barrier is not there, he's fine. Man, that's a tough break for Ty's. Gives him some pretty significant damage as well. And then this was Cody Matthew after that initial contact here. This was actually as he got it looped back around, it looks like. And then let's go back here. That was Andrew Russo. We saw that. And this was more trouble for Ty Iopolito, it looks like. As you see, that car still suffering from the damage as he got off track. Glenn Grigsby, he had some struggles here. Just getting a little bit wide in that uphill, the final turn on that uphill sector. And then Ty Iopolito, more trouble here is, talk about it on a lot of tracks, short tracks, road courses especially. When you get in a rhythm, you can't get out of it. And in his case, hitting that wall, it certainly threw him out of the rhythm pretty abruptly. And now he's just trying to recover. There's Brandon Saylor, the rookie for Team Marble iRacing. He goes to do a little lawn work as well. And then more trouble. This just happened with Andrew Russo in the 88 here. Does he just go wide here? Does he actually have an issue? Let's see. Thinking maybe he just goes wide. Yep, sure enough, the 88 just making sure that he can get well out of the way of all the other guys that are running ahead of him. So nicely done there by Andrew Russo. All right, so Tyler Marble, 17 laps to go. Here we are. And so you ask yourself, when does he, I think he made his pit stop already. I believe he did. Yes, he did. Tyler Marble here. So while we were looking at some of the breakdowns, he did make his stop. Let's see can we see if anybody else went in with him at the same time? It's not looking like it. Fitzgerald, did he here? Yes, he did actually. So Fitzgerald did go down at the same time. But then in Tyler's case here, did he take any tires? Doesn't look like it. He loves the way that car's handling right now. Doesn't want to touch a thing. It's the best way to do it right there is Fitzgerald. Does he try any sort of strategy play? Nope. Just going with the same thing. Try to match the 48 to see what he can do. So as Fitzgerald works his way out of the pits, there goes Brian Conklin. Those two not battling for position. And so now it sets us up with 16 laps to go. And all the shifting these guys have done here tonight in just 55 laps. I could imagine how brutal it would be for these guys if they had to do a full-length one. As Same length of course as what they did in the Cup Series. A couple more guys that still have not made that pit stop yet. A couple lingering drivers, if you will, and looks like Mark Sabak going to make his stop right here. Pit road here, a little bit interesting the way it kind of curves around from off the final turn all the way to just about the first turn. But Mark Sabak looks like he is going to take tires here. He's going to see if it maybe helps the handling of that race car. Everybody's different, right? Again, these guys have the option to run open setups. Well, I say the option. Everybody here runs open setups, so you can tweak a lot of things. And, you know, with the way that your car handles, it's going to be better on a short run, sometimes better on a long run. And in certain cases, it might be set up to where it runs better on old tires. Maybe it runs worse on new tires, better on new tires, just depends. And each one of these drivers, they spend a lot of time doing practice during the week to get their car to cater to their driving style. And so they know what it takes on a pit stop, what they want it to have more of, less of, and what adjustments they can make. But I don't think really, at least for your top three, there's been probably many of any adjustments here tonight. As, by the way, look at some of the gaps that have formed now. Cody Matthews, this was just now here for the 10. What happened here? Did he just, you got to hope he just gets wide here and nothing else. And yeah, that's all it is. Oh, gets way wide. Oh, first car into the tires here tonight, actually. Just trying to push that car for all it's worth and pushed it a little too far. And then there's Kenneth Bartholomew again, getting off the racing surface. So 15 laps to go for Tyler Marble. Actually, I should say it's going to be closer to 14 to go for him. But look at the gaps here. I mean, 8th on back are all a lap down. Jacob Musso is going to be falling victim to going a lap down here before this race is over. I don't know if he'll quite get to Jake Hickson, but we had 27 cars start this race, and Tyler Marble has lapped almost almost 3/4, if not over, of the field, as he continues here to just put on a dominant performance. I think he has led every single lap, maybe minus if there was any that he didn't lead during the pit cycle, but I don't even think that was the case. Definitely pure dominance, and with the way it's going, this is going to be the biggest margin of victory on the season for any driver. And it might have been that way last season as well. Now, don't forget, we head to Watkins Glen here, and I don't know how soon it is. We'll look at the schedule here. It may still be a little ways down the road, but that's the second and other main road course of the season, so we'll see if Tyler's able to maybe look for back-to-back road course wins there. But I think you're going to see a couple other guys maybe be a little bit more competitive. Again, and at least in my book, Sonoma is a lot more technical of a road course than Watkins Glen is. A lot of guys, I think, prefer Watkins Glen. It's a lot, faster, kind of easier to handle corners. Not to say they're easy, but it's just kind of different the way it runs. Where here it's a lot tighter, a lot more elevation changes, and certainly a lot of things that can be different. As Cody Matthews has had another off. Man, the struggles just continue here for the 10. As just after he came out of the pits, gets off track and straightens it out here after he let Galasso go by. Now let's go back and speaking of the schedule here and actually take a look at what it's looking like here for some of the upcoming races. First off, though, how points shape up. Currently, Jeff Marble leads in the point standings. Austin Fitzgerald second, Taio Polito in third. And you've got Quentin Clark in fourth with Tyler Marble in fifth. Michael Mueller back in 6th, Kyle Oakley 7th, Jake Hickson in 8th, Jared Bundy in 9th, and Jeff Shutt rounding out your top 10. As for the schedule and the rest of the season, next week we're going to head to Iowa, which I'm excited to see these cars at Iowa again. I think that, honestly, Iowa should replace Richmond, so hoping these guys put on a good show there next week. And then we head to the final technical, I'm going to call it technical branch track, whatever you want to call it, as we go to New Hampshire for 150 laps. Then we start to go back to some of the bigger tracks and some of the tracks that are a little bit more playing to the field's favor instead of some of the more technical drivers per se. But Nashville not going to be easy, as that is a concrete oval similar to Dover. Then we head to Chicagoland. That'll be a fun one, followed by the Tricky Triangle, Pocono. And then it's off to the Brickyard, making a return there after not being there the last couple seasons. So very excited to see how these next gens perform there. I think they're going to race really, really good. They're going to be fast for sure. Then we have a couple bye weeks for the Olympics. Richmond and then Michigan are the two races that we have rounding out the schedule for now. And so still, fair to say, quite a ways to go before the playoffs, but never too early to get yourself locked in. Or to try to start looking to get yourself locked in, at least, if you will. Best way to do that is get as many points as you can. And the easiest way to do that is, of course, by getting a race win. Brandon Saylor in that 13th spot. Thomas O'Hara back in 14th. But that three-car battle that we had earlier, by the way, Brian Coughlin continues this really nice recovery as he's now only down one position from where he started, and he has broken back into the top 10. All this ground that he had to make up, of course, after that first lap spin. And, you know, he's going to probably be wondering, what if he didn't spin on that first lap? How far up could he be now? Maybe running for a potential top 5? Nonetheless, it is what it is now. Is Scott Glasso, Ty Iopolito. Ty still with the damage hanging in there, at least for now, top 15. But you see that right front, or left front rather, pretty banged up. I can't tell, he might have a little bit of suspension damage too. Yeah, I think he definitely does here. And that's not helping him under braking at all. In fact, you can see the way he has to steer that car as he brakes, almost has to turn it left to keep it under him. All right, oh, Kenneth Bartholomew with more trouble. Tracy Powers, Glenn Grigsby as well here. Let's go look at these 3 incidents. Glenn Grigsby here, does he just wash wide? I think that might be all it is for the 64 right here. And yep, sure enough, 64 just washes by. I think he was maybe trying to let some guys go by. And then Tracy Powers here coming into, again, one of the trickiest turns we've seen here tonight. Just gets a little bit off track. And this was Kenneth Bartholomew, maybe with a little bit more than just an off track. Let's see what happened here to the 73. Does he get into the tires? Gets into the corner a little too deep. A little too deep. Oh, ooh, that's a pretty hard hit into the tire barrier, similar to what we saw for Cody Matthews. Yikes. And then Mark Sabak, looks like just recently he goes for a loop, gets in the dirt. So again, no cautions here tonight. I mean, if you're just tuning in, you might have noticed, but yeah, so the rule tonight was no cautions, regardless of where you wreck, where you spin, get the car fired back up, keep going, or take it to the pits for repairs. But no cautions here tonight. Again, doesn't work the same way as it does in real life with road courses, where they've got to get the safety crew out if somebody wrecks, or we just don't do that here in iRacing. So if it's not an oval and there's not an immediate danger, of course, of, you know, guys running into, you know, causing a big pileup, which you just don't really have here, then there's not going to be a caution, and therefore we just don't have them on tonight. So with 10 laps to go, Tyler Marble inches closer and closer to finding victory lane here at Sonoma. We are going to take our final commercial break. Go side by side so you don't miss a thing. We'll be back for the finish at Sonoma. Welcome back to Wine Country, closing in on the end of the Sonoma 109 for the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series. Up front, no change there. Tyler Marble still being scored as your leader as he has gotten his gap over Austin Fitzgerald over 15 seconds now. You can see there that he's lapped all the way up to 8th place, getting ready to lap 7th, potentially 6th as well here before this thing's all said and done. Just 7 laps to go here. He wants to get this thing over with quicker than anybody, and the good news is he doesn't have to worry about a caution, and with 15 seconds, I mean, you spent the whole race building that up. You can basically cruise to the finish now. From here, no point in overdoing anything, getting yourself in trouble, as Danny Gutierrez and Brett Spod, again, the only two who have retired from this race for the moment. Actually, take that back. Kenneth Bartholomew tacks onto that list, so he will be scored an official 25th place finish. And then Andrew Russo, the last car out on track running right now. In the 88, he sits 24th, up 2 from where he started. Glenn Grigsby back in the 23rd position, up 4 from where he started. Bill Benedict in 22nd. Cody Matthews 21st. Mark Sabak in 20th. Got Ryan Haynes in 19th with Jeffrey Souza in 18th. And him and Johnny Mikulchuk, here we go. I'm going to stay here for just a moment because these two got a battle that's getting ready to shape up. As Souza, we'll see if he tries to set up a pass on him here this lap, or if he maybe just takes his time here, tries to get by before the end of the race. I like the idea of trying to get by him now, but you know, if you feel like you better, maybe try to make a mistake here. But we'll see if Souza can actually hang with him, as Johnny Mikulchuk, by the way, is now up 8 positions from where he started this race at. Still your biggest mover, as he sits in that 17th position. Ooh, Johnny got really wide right there. Big close up right here from Souza. He's looking, gonna take a peek to the inside. Dive bomb, can he make it work? Looks like Johnny's going to give him the room here. 72 goes extra wide to make sure they don't get together 2x2. It's not going to work in this section. Somebody's got to give. And there you go. Johnny Mikulchuk is going to lose that spot. So as he fades to 18th. Jeffrey Souza climbs to 17th. Alan Pajari in 16th. Tracy Powers 14th. Thomas O'Hara actually in 14th. Powers was 15th. And you've got Tai Ippolito in 13th. Brandon Saylor just in front of him in 12th. Quentin Clark looking to get around Tai Ippolito. Again, that's not for position. And you've got Scott Glasso up in 11th. Brian Conklin in 10th. Jared Bundy in 9th. Jeff Shutt in 8th. Jacob Musso. What a run this has been for him here tonight. Looking for a top 10. Maybe would have had a chance at the top 5 if we had, 10 to 15 more laps in this race. But even a 7th place finish, he's going to be very pleased with himself here tonight. Then you've got Jay Kickson in 6th. Quentin Clark rounds out your top 5. Jeff Marble in 4th. Michael Mueller in 3rd with Austin Fitzgerald in 2nd. Tyler Marble in 1st. And I think Michael Mueller is going to be, I don't know if it's a complete what if, but again, that contact and some of the spins he got to still have the speed to get back here and get up to 3rd. I think if he didn't have any other troubles with any other drivers this race, I think he may have potentially, who knows, maybe he would have had a shot fight for 2nd. But man, 40 seconds is still a pretty big difference. That being the gap, of course, between him and 2nd place Austin Fitzgerald. All right, so 5 laps to go for these guys as they cross the line. Meanwhile, for Tyler Marble, closing in on what's going to be just 4 laps to go. And man, talked about how big of a win this would be, how much this would mean to Tyler Marble and, of course, that team. Team Marble iRacing, if they could capture another win here tonight. And, you look kind of at just a brief overview of what their season has been like so far. The Clash gets won by Jeff Marble. And then you go pretty far down the road and you look at the season up to date, up to this point, however you want to put it. And nothing to show for it yet for Team Marble iRacing. So Tyler Marble looking to get his first win of the season here tonight. And he's just 3 laps away. And as it stands right now, he has lapped all but 5 other cars in this 27-car field. I don't know if he's quite going to be able to get to Jay Kickson here before this race is over. He's got to gain about 12 to 13 more seconds on the 16 to do so. But nonetheless, I mean, we wondered if it was going to be dominant performance at the start, and it has been all of that. And I will say, you notice the gap has actually fallen here by about 4 seconds or so, and that's just simply Tyler just, taking it easy. Now, there's no point in over pushing it at this point. He knows that with the gap he's got, he can afford to be conservative, and again, can't somehow let yourself get beat right here. You got to make sure that you keep the car clean. And so, he's still pushing it pretty hard. Now, the one thing that you hear with Tyler there that certainly would concern me a little bit, it hasn't been an issue, of course. I know he's got to figure it out, but is how early those downshifts are through the corners. Now, I'd say it's not been an issue, but that puts a lot of wear on the engines, and you certainly always get nervous when you see that. Is, you're going to potentially blow an engine if you accidentally hit a downshift too early. But Tyler Marble, he practiced, he came to play, and he has hit all of his shifts absolutely perfect so far here tonight. Continue riding on board with him here through the rest of this lap as he works his way into the rhythm section, and watch the way he throws the car around here. And now again, this is not the way you would typically drive this track if you were in, say, a sports car or, prototype, anything like that. But here in the stock cars, it's a complete different kind of breed, different animal in terms of the way you got to drive this car here. And it includes throwing the back end out on some of these corners to get the car to turn a little bit easier. And like I said, whatever it is, Tyler Marble, he's got this place figured out. And it's one of those tracks that he's going to have circled each and every season that they come here, because he knows that that's a track where he could potentially be a guaranteed winner at, as he now sees the 2 lap to go. Marker from the flagman, and he is just under 4 miles away from victory lane here in wine country. Austin Fitzgerald still sitting second. Michael Mueller in third, up a spot from where he started. Jeff Marble hanging still within reach of Mueller, but I just don't know that he's going to be able to quite get back to him here in time. As Jeff's, you can see, it's just, man, I'll tell you what, I'm up here watching the booth. I'm actually just getting kind of excited still about tonight. Any onboard views we've seen, it's just everybody's got a different driving style around this place. And the biggest thing I've seen different, though, from Tyler Marble and the rest of the field is how much more aggressive and almost, I don't know if the word would be loose, Tyler Marble's car has looked through the corners. And that's just the way that he set it up to throw that car around in the corners. And loose is fast, and he's been fast here tonight. But I'm watching here Jeff, and he's a lot more smooth through the corners. Car doesn't look like it's stepping out on him too bad. Not as much wheel input, and very smooth as he gets back on the throttle. Michael Mueller locks up as Marble does get a little bit loose that time, just as I said something about it. Tyler Marble, here we go. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go at Sonoma. He's got to go through the track that he's been so good at one more time here tonight. Now, he does have some lap traffic ahead here. I don't know if he'll worry too much about actually trying to get by these guys, or if he does, he's going to do so very, very methodically. He doesn't want any part of anything that could potentially cause him trouble right here. So there you go. Tracy Powers goes off. Tyler shoots by 2 of them. That leaves just 1 car left that's at least within sight of his windshield here. And again, that is not for position. Looks like that's the 10 of Cody Matthews. Working into the rhythm section for the final time here tonight. Through the first S, through the second S, through the third S. He'll work his way over here to turn 10 before he works his way into 11 for the final time here tonight. We'll see if he chooses to go around. I believe is that Hickson? No, that is indeed Cody Matthews. But here we go. Final time into the heavy braking zone, turn 11. How about this? Wine country, time to celebrate, time to be excited, because guess what? The drought's over. Tyler Marble is going back to victory lane. He wins it at Sonoma. And there it is. You see the relief, see the excitement. He's pumped about that one. I'll tell you what, he's going to let us know in the interview too. Finally gets that first win of the season. The pressure is off. All the bad luck has turned around over the course of last week and this week. Tyler Marble is your Sonoma race winner. And look at the official gap between him and Fitzgerald, 13.92 seconds. And I think that was even with him backing down the pace a little bit. Only 5 other cars stayed on the lead lap as well. Showing you just how many guys he lapped, 22, 23, whatever it was. So as Tyler Marble brings it around here to burn it down and celebrate, we await the arrival of your final results here tonight. And of course, we will have interviews with your top 3. So before you go anywhere, make sure you stick around for those. As Tyler works his way into turn 11 on the victory lap, and Cody Matthews getting in there a little bit hot. By the way, there are still some drivers finishing this race, by the way. And I think that they might all just about have it finished. There we go. All right, so official results are in. Tyler Marble's your winner, bringing home second tonight. Austin Fitzgerald, Michael Mueller in third. Jeff Marble fourth. Quentin Clark in fifth. Jake Hickson in sixth. Jacob Musso in seventh. Jeff Shutt in eighth. Jared Bundy in ninth. And Brian Conklin rounds out your top 10. Scott Glasso finishes in 11th. Brandon Saylor in 12th. Thomas O'Hara 13th. Ty Iopolito in 14th. Tracy Powers in 15th. Alan Pajari 16th. Jeffrey Souza in 17th with Johnny McCulchuk in 18th. Ryan Haynes in 19th. And Mark Sabak rounds out your top 20. Cody Matthews 21st. Bill Benedict 22nd. Glenn Grigsby 23rd. Andrew Russo in 24th. Kenneth Bartholomew in 25th. Brett Spod 26th. And Danny Gutierrez rounds out the field tonight. He finishes in 27th. All right, we're going to go get your top 3 in here for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Sonoma. All right, going to start first here tonight with your third place finisher, Michael Mueller. Michael, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Good. Well, man, you bring home a podium, and after kind of a roller coaster of a night, you had a couple incidents, including one with the 73. And I got to be honest, after that contact, I thought that was kind of going to be a setback you wouldn't necessarily be able to recover from the race, but you found a way. How were you able to keep your head in this race the whole way through and be able to recover for a third place finish?
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely interesting. I don't know what happened there. Definitely got, I think, a minute and a half of damage out of that when I came from my stop, and the wheel was sitting at 2 o'clock. So just had to put my head back down, realize that, we have speed, and I just need to control my car and control the race. And I beat Jeff off a pit road there with the kind of really getting into my stall good. So I was able to hold him back. So, I mean, it was a really good race. About time to be back on the broadcast again. That's nice. I haven't been here in a while, so definitely a good setup for the end of the season.
Certainly is, and we're still going through that technical portion of the season here with some of the tracks wrapped, but Sonoma's out of the way, and you got to take notes because we're still going to Watkins Glen at some point. How you feeling about your chances there?
I'm a big fan of Watkins Glen. I'm definitely better at Watkins Glen than I am here. It's a little bit cooler, so it's going to be a little bit faster, but definitely a big fan of Watkins Glen.
Absolutely. All right, well, before we let you head out here tonight, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, all my guys back at Riot Motorsports put a lot of work in during the week, get these setups right. Sim coaches, Bolify, personal sponsor outside of iRacing. Use checkout code Mueller300 at checkout. Get $5 off your purchase at bolify.com. You in the broadcast booth, you guys do a great job every single week. Always fun to go back and watch it. And Quentin for race with me tonight. It's always fun to kind of go back and forth what we can do differently during the race.
Thank you, of course, for talking to us again. Congrats on the podium, and we will see you next week.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, now that'll bring us to your second place finisher, Austin Fitzgerald. Austin, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, I got you.
Well, man, I'm sitting up here, and I got to be honest, I'm not really sure what to ask you because overall, pretty uneventful race. I mean, I think you might have had one off-track incident. That's about it. But, I mean, overall, second place speed. Was there anything else that you think could have got you anywhere close to the 48?
No, my only opportunity to pass them was to hang with them, like, within a few seconds, until I find a good opportunity to pit, maybe try to leap him in the pits when he gets stuck behind some lap cars or something. But at one point, and for a little while there, for a good portion of the first half of the race, I was able to stay within, 3-4 seconds, and then I got in the dirt once, lost a few seconds there. Then I got frustrated and then just lost focus and kept screwing up. And then by the time I got my composure back, I was probably, 8, 9, 10 seconds behind him. At that point, there's really nothing I could do strategically. And I think the only way I was going to beat him in this race was, strategy. like I said, try to leap him in the pits or something. But no, Tyler's fast here. He's always fast here. I knew that this is going to be his race to lose for sure. But yeah, wish I had a little bit more for him. But yeah, he was flying out there. It looks like he has nearly a whole minute on third place, fourth place. So yeah, he's super fast. So a good win for him. And I'll see what I got at Iowa next week.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, you didn't quite complete the trio here. You got two, couldn't quite get to third here tonight, but you continue to put together these solid finishes. How does this momentum now help you when we get into the postseason later on in the year?
I mean, it helps a lot, especially if I could get more wins and, collect those bonus points for the playoffs. I think this might put me first place in regular season standings. So yeah, if I could win the regular season, I would be stoked, and that would be just a huge boost as far as points and just confidence going into the playoffs.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you head out here tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
As always, thanks my fam. Thank you to Acoustic Design Systems. I always say if you're in the Las Vegas area, you have any audio video needs, security, any low voltage needs, I should say, feel free to go to acousticdesignlv.com and we'll see if we can help you out over there. Also, shout out to the team, Dynamic Autosports. I think we're decent today. Yeah, I'm too bad for Ty. I think he definitely was like a top 5 car, but I know he got into an incident there. But Jake had a good day, and Alan, he doesn't love the road courses, but I think he had a decent day too. So yeah, shout out to the team, and yeah, thank you for the broadcast. Thanks to everyone showing up, and yeah, see you next week.
Sounds like a plan. Well, thank you for talking to us, and again, congrats on the second place finish.
Thank you.
All right, and now that will bring us to your race winner here tonight, Tyler Marble. Tyler, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, there you go. You finally break out with the first one of the season at the track you got the job done at last season. Well, you put on a clinic here tonight. Looks like you lapped all but 5 cars. How were you able to maintain that fast of a pace the whole race? I mean, every time we went into your onboard cam, you looked like you were just about on the last inch of the racetrack.
Yeah, it's yeah, a lot of focus is needed for just road course racing, and confidence, feel, rhythm, all that. It's important, and once you get the heat in the tires, just hit your marks, and the car will do the work for you. Braking zones and all that good stuff. Yeah, good. Finally got a win. Especially get closer to the points. Austin's fast. Make sure he didn't lead any laps there. Yeah, finally. Deja vu last year. First win of the season comes at Sonoma.
Yeah, and that was kind of the kickoff race. But, we look at this season and how rough of a stretch it was over the course of the last maybe month or so. And last week was kind of the initial turnaround race. You bring home the second place, and now that you got the win, do you feel like the momentum's in your favor?
Oh, yeah. Any win's a momentum boost for sure. I love the schedule coming up. Basically, the rest of the season, there's a lot of fun tracks out there. I think the team in general can definitely get some good things going here this summer, and yeah, try to keep it going here. Damn, yeah, freaking finally.
All right, well, before we let you head out tonight to go celebrate, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yep, I like to thank you for broadcasting. I thank Will Repair Specialist out of Richmond for title sponsoring the Cup Series, Sim Racer Hub, Butt Kicker, DA Design Studio, BMP, Capital Auto Group, iRacing iFlag, everybody for coming out, my teammates, everybody for watching, and yeah, let's try to keep it going here.
Sounds like a plan. Well, thank you for talking to us, and again, congrats on your first one of the season.
And thank you.
All right, that is going to wrap up our coverage here tonight from Wine Country. Man, what a race it was. What a dominant performance to get Team Marble iRacing's Tyler Marble his first win of the season. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in here tonight. As always, I hope you enjoyed. You've been watching Austin Green on Ghost Racing Network. And until next time, have a good night.